Please listen carefully.
Hello, universe. Welcome to the Optimist Daily Update. I'm Summers McKay.
And I'm Kristy Jansen, and we're part of the team behind the Optimist Daily, making solutions the news. We bring you reader-funded solutions news every day in order to change the tenor of news media, social media, and the direction of your days to get us all focused on solutions.
7 days a week, we publish positive news stories written by award-winning journalists and delivered online to your inbox and through our social channels. And also, we are sharing these solutions in a commute-worthy, walk-worthy, home office-worthy, Dia de los Muertos-worthy podcast. Today is Monday, the 1st of November. Yes, I said that. The 1st of November, 2021.
Crazy talk.
I know.
Can't believe it.
It's insane, right? All of a sudden, we have Thanksgiving in 25 days, Christmas in, 40 after that. Then there's a new year, and then it's my birthday month. So
it's possible that 2021 went faster than 2020.
I think it did fly really quickly. I think it was a weird year.
I don't know where we're at in the world and the whole, this 2-year experience or year and a half or whatever it'll end up being with the pandemic. It's just taken the legs out from under everything that we expected from ourselves and the world.
Yeah.
And we haven't yet established new foundations.
I have not fully figured out why I keep talking about 2023. I know I did it on the pod the other day, right? And I was like, well, in 2023, we'll do blah, blah, blah. But I keep not saying 2022. And it's almost like I no longer have a sense of where we are in this decade. I don't really understand the 2020s. But I am grateful because Halloween was magic, and this upcoming season of gratitude, I am so focused on returning to gratitude. But what I realized about gratitude, Kristy, as we go into this season, is that being grateful doesn't mean sort of being subjugated, right? And for me, I've wrestled with gratitude, and last year we did gratitude and thank you notes, right, for the whole month of November, and understanding that gratitude is grateful for what you do have, grateful for what you can create, grateful for solutions. And it's just like optimism. It's not rose-colored glasses.
Right. And even, I've been focused on my gratitude practice or reigniting it. And it's a challenging thing to do because some days I wake up and I just feel not at all like I'm in that kind of a space. And I have to journal, which is another one of the things we always are talking about now. I kind of have to process where I'm at, and then I can come to terms with my gratitude. Yeah. But sometimes the things I have to write about being grateful for is the challenges. And I'm grateful for them, not because I'm glad to be challenged, but I'm glad to be reminded of my own strength. And one of the things I'm trying to do is I bolster up my gratitude practices for each day. If I write 5 things, I try to be grateful for one thing that's an aspect of myself.
So it's not just exterior things, but then you become grateful for that one element of yourself, whether it's your beautiful smile or your laugh or your brilliant mind or all of the things that we love about you.
My general hardiness or my curiosity, just anything that whatever that I'm, wherever I'm at that morning. I
like it.
Yeah. But just to try to have that broad appreciation of whatever life is presenting. And
exactly. And we were talking last week, I think, about sort of not passing on generational trauma to this next generation coming forward. And so much of that comes from being self-aware, and being self-aware also includes being grateful to yourself. Mm-hmm. And that, I think, is a generational shift, right? I think this idea that we know ourselves and we know our choices and we know our challenges and we're grateful for them makes such a difference.
Yeah. We don't have to pair gratitude with weakness. We can pair gratitude with fierceness. Yeah. So fierce gratitude is, I kind of like that.
Fierce gratitude. All right, it's a new podcast, but this particular podcast,
this Monday,
seriously though, Amelia, I know you're tuning in here. Let's go ahead and start doing the Fierce Gratitude podcast as a second show from the Optimist Daily team. Fiercely grateful today, though, for the solutions on today's Optimist Daily. We kind of thought about dabbling in like a Dia de los Muertos theme because there are two super cool headlines. Novel DNA extraction method confirms identity of Sitting Bull's great-grandson, and an Old Kingdom mummy upends previous beliefs about Egyptian mummification. But we felt like those are great stories that you should be reading and sharing on social. Today, we wanted to dive into some really interesting solution-focused stories. Kristy, do you want to go first?
Sure. I'll take my headline. It's a bit of a follow-up on a story we wrote about, I think, last year, but it's something that I find a real solution, and it touches me on many different levels. The headline reads, Jersey City program expands access to local vertical farms. And we've been writing about vertical farms, and these are farms that are usually situated in a more of an urban setting. They may be in a building or in a architecture which is not your traditional agricultural land. And usually they're going to be focused on things that are easier to grow in that kind of a setting, like lettuces, strawberries are the two that I'm most familiar with. And in the vertical farm setting, it's lower water use, lower fertilizer use. It's a controlled environment. It does require electricity, but that can be solved by incorporating solar and other kinds of renewable energies. But the other thing that's great about this is it brings locally grown produce into places where consumers live when you're living miles away from a traditional farmland. And vertical farms have been praised for adaptability in dense spaces, as well as their relatively low resource use because they use less water and less fertilizer, less soil to produce vibrant greens. So in Jersey City, there's this innovative scheme which has been focused on creating a total of 10 aeroponic farms across the city to provide a total of 19,000 pounds of free greens to eligible city residents in its first year. And what they're doing is they're installing vertical farming installations, indoor farms, and they're putting them in public housing communities and other more publicly owned buildings. It's called Aero Farms. That's the actual farming company that's connected with Healthy Greens JC, which is the program in Jersey City. And they use this water efficient technology. It grows produce vertically without soil. So it's Aero Farms. And they've already been operating a large vertical farm in Newark, New Jersey, which churns out right now 2 million pounds of fresh greens every year. And so now they're putting this into Jersey City locations and placing it in public housing communities, which also solves the problem of what we call food deserts, where you have no access to fresh foods for those populations, which is a real environmental justice issue, right? An economic justice issue. So in addition to placing the farms in these places, they're also having like educational trainings on, so how do you use all these greens, and sort of working with the community on creating a greater connection to the food and how it is grown. In addition to the 10 housing communities that vertical farms are slated for construction, there's also a city hall annex and 2 senior centers that are in the planning stages. So I just think this is a cool, innovative pilot program, which is on track right now. If it all goes well, they'll scale it up in the future. But I think it's a great solution for bringing food resilience. It leads to resilience. It's about creating green spaces in urban centers, and reminding us that we're not, the urban nature divide is somewhat artificial, and we can actually bring growing things into our backyards, into our buildings that'll help us survive more.
I love this. I love the idea of we talk all the time about like climate justice is a social justice issue. Food justice is a social justice issue. And so I love that this solution is actually bringing the tools to communities that can really benefit, and then, accelerating a marketplace there for it. I think that when we look at business being small and big, and when we look at resources being available, not everything has to be mass production or mass distribution.
Right.
Localized resources can be really, really valuable. So
I think we've all gotten to a new place where I was talking about this with some friends the other day about the idea that productivity and efficiency, which have been kind of the gold standard of the highest values, are now being reevaluated. Maybe we need resiliency. Maybe we need local, right? And small. Bigger is not always better. Look at the supply chain issues that we've been facing. Anyway, I think both of our stories kind of touch on this.
Well, exactly. Like, it's a perfect cue up for my headline. My headline reads, New French law helps independent bookstores compete with online retailers. Now, a French law that was passed in 2014 prohibited retailers from discounting new books, and it helped small bookstores survive amidst, really heavy competition from Amazon or other powerful online retailers. However, owners of independent shops were still at a disadvantage because online marketplace giants can evade this law by allowing customers to pay just 1 cent for shipping. Right. So no shipping cost delivered to your door book is in effect less expensive than a book you had to go to the store to purchase, even if they were the exact same cost. Now, France has adopted new legislation that sets a minimum price for book deliveries to further protect small independent bookstores. We know that there's something super special about being able to see real books in a shop, experience that, and this is so all at a risk if we don't preserve independent bookstores. I know many independent bookstores across the country have, in the United States, have folded. Kristy, Chaucer's in Santa Barbara is still kicking, right?
It is. And as a matter of fact, I was just talking about this with Amelia and Carissa last week when they were working with me in my house. We were talking about how much we love these bookstores. And Amelia was saying that her grandmother, who lives in Santa Barbara, is maybe single-handedly keeping Chaucer's alive.
I love
Probably
it.
not.
I love
because
it.
I do my shopping there too. And Amelia was saying that she lives on top of a really cool bookstore and cafe where she's now in Montana. And there is something really magical about being in a bookstore, being with all of that. The wealth.
And I deeply crave the opportunity to take my daughter to bookstores and have story time and stories, and you're not going to get that from Amazon. So needless to say, Amazon did fight hard against the new legislation, which is yet to be enacted. And their suggestion is that it would hurt residents who live in rural areas who cannot easily access physical bookshops. Consumer attitudes in France say otherwise, and many say they understand why a shipping cost is there, don't mind paying it, while also supporting a local business. Now, one bookshop customer, I love the idea of like one bookshop customer. I would love to see this person, but they're quoted as saying the price of books should be the same everywhere. If there are offers online, they also have to take into account the shipping costs. So it's normal to have to pay a little bit more if you want your books delivered. I just, in France, bookstores have historically been an important place for idea sharing. Around the world, just as you and I were discussing, bookworms everywhere love bookstores. I fully cop to that when I moved to this area, I got really Amazon focused because I didn't know where to shop for anything. I didn't know what was local. And I want to get back to supporting local businesses. So I know we're not doing our weekly challenge anymore because, well, frankly, being is a challenge itself. But I would say this particular week, setting forth, maybe this particular month, in the month of November, I'm going to try to curb my Amazon habit and instead find a local bookstore shop local, right? Let's be locavores. Let's be local purchasers and, see if we can't make the world a better place that way. So that headline was great, a really good story, and I like that policymaking is actually a business accelerant in that story.
What's cool about this law also is that it's listening to what people want, what their constituents want.
Yeah.
as opposed to what the
Business. Yeah.
big businesses want. And
Exactly.
it's refreshing because that doesn't happen very much anymore, sadly, in our world.
We're certainly not like at the Optimist Daily, we're certainly not like anti big business, because we know that big business can really be likewise an accelerant to change. And
Absolutely.
we want, so goes big also, so it's that multi-directional, but I love exactly as you're saying, this is pro small business owners. It's a great story. So,
well, a few other headlines today. I'll just read a few others.
You got it. Yeah.
We have a headline about 5 plant-based foods that actually have more protein than meat. Check that out. It's like, and they probably have lots more fiber too, so it's healthier on many different levels. China is rolling out a new curriculum that will ease the burden on young and stressed out students. Our kids aren't the only ones that are freaking out about all that homework. Cape Verde sea turtles conservation efforts prove to be a resounding success. Alphabet is making its low-cost water harvester open source. That's another big company that, it can be used for good. Like big companies and their big budgets can develop really creative, innovative solutions. And it's really nice to see this one from Alphabet is becoming an open source. And finally, why do leaves change color in the fall? That's a little bit of a great story to read if you have a small child and you can answer their questions.
Or if you are just learning now and you are today years old when you find out why leaves change color in the fall, because you haven't had a chance to learn it. That's what we offer on the Optimist Daily, everybody. Stuff you didn't know, stuff you should know, solution-focused stories. And you know what? We'll keep doing it. We'll keep sending you ideas on how you can participate in this changing world. Ensure it's changed for the good. We'll keep doing it if you keep supporting us. We are reader funded. So please, please, please consider this November becoming an emissary, or share the gift of gratitude, spread some optimism, and give a gift subscription to one of your friends, family, or loved ones to the Optimist Daily. It's the giving season. You know where to find us. We'll be here every day. You guys have a great rest of your Monday, and we'll see you on Tuesday.
We'll be back tomorrow with more solutions. So take care, all. Have a good Dia de los Muertos.